In a world full of noise and spin and shadows, one voice cuts through the lies like a blade through smoke.
Fear no man, fear no evil.
Because the truth is the only thing that matters.
Dance with the devil, walk with the angels, and the truth shall set you free. This ain't for the faint of heart. This ain't for the easily offended. This is where real talk lives. Because if it ain't black, it's white.
Welcome to the one, the only, the Robb Crocker Show.
And what's up, guys? Welcome to the Robb Crocker Show. I am allowed to host this Robb Crocker Show on behalf of Alexander Gonzalez. So you have myself, Zachary Nikolai. Of course, JB is in the house, as always. And the one, the only, Robb Crocker.
You guys ready for a black and white night? Because it's going to be hot. There's going to be a lot of people who probably aren't going to want to hear what I have to say. But we are going to dance with the devil, and we are going to walk with the angels, and everyone will realize if it ain't black, it's going to be white. So, JB, you ready?
Absolutely.
Zach, it's good to have you in the house.
I'm happy to be here. Can't wait.
What was the weather like when you came in?
Raining. Just a bunch of rain.
It was Tuesday night, so what else can you expect, JB?
It rains every Tuesday you're here.
That's right. Well, let's get started, guys. Question of the night. If we got anybody watching more than 7 people, I think that's the comment I heard last week, 7 people. So, question of the night is, what will the United States of America do if all of the illegals are removed from this country? How will we continue working in construction, in farming, and in building, and anything that is difficult with labor? So what is your take? Anybody can answer. The question is, what will the United States of America do if there's no one in the country willing to do the work that the illegals who are here, righteously or wrongfully, do?
I mean, right off the bat, the individuals on construction sites, obviously, if they're arrested, there'll be a slowdown in construction. I think that's what you're looking for, right?
I'm looking for anybody to answer this question. Zachary, why don't you answer? You've been away from us for a little bit, so what do you think about that?
I mean, honestly, we're going to outsource it, right? We outsource everything.
Who are you outsourcing it to? The white man, the black man, the brown man? Because if there's no brown men, I don't know that we build. But you know what? Maybe they will come from Albania or Greece.
It's possible. I mean, hey, my parents immigrated here. You know, my whole family did. We did come the legal route, though, so
Yeah.
I do got to say that.
Well,
but
let's look at it like that. We know that the country is in a position, I don't know, we're going to bounce around tonight, but we'll just go ahead, since we're talking about illegals, we'll go ahead and go right in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw in Georgia at the Hyundai battery plant, over 400 plus South Koreans were arrested. They're working illegally. So I personally haven't seen 400 South Koreans in the United States myself.
Yeah.
Between the Southeast, I don't know. So clearly there was a plan to get them there in Georgia to work at this facility.
well, I definitely know you haven't seen 400 North Koreans. All right, so
That's for sure. That was good. So they're here. They're there working. So I think that all of the Latin Americans can breathe a sigh of relief to know they're not the only ones that are being targeted. That this facility, and I actually know where it is in Georgia. I've been by there, and it's huge. So, but the difference is the South Koreans were pissed because they're investing billions of dollars here. So they said, you know what? We're going to send our own plane over there. We'll get them, and we'll bring them back. So it's a double-edged sword where the construction industry and the farming industry relies on people who are not legal citizens of the United States of America to accomplish what they're doing. So right now in Chicago, Trump, ICE is trying to make the area safer. They've listed the 1,000 people that they're targeting. So they're not targeting the people at Home Depot. They're not targeting the farmers. They are actually targeting criminals that have been arrested before for child rape, whatever the charges are. They know where they are, and they're going after that 1,000. That's what people voted for when they elected Trump, to get the illegal people out of the country. And I have no problem with that. I've said it over and over again, get the criminals out of the country. Then Gonzo, always chimes back at me, well, they broke into the country, so they've already committed a crime. Well, crime is based off of what it may be. So we're going to go from that crime, being here illegally, to murdering people, raping people, things like that. Those people need to be removed from the country immediately. I think we could all agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, like, history shows, right, that a lot of people will, try to hide their identity, whether it's in between states, right? They committed a crime in a state, they move to a different one, try to hide it, or even countries. For example, people are coming to America that have committed crimes in, either a European country, a South American country, Asian country, doesn't matter. They'll commit crimes and try to hide out over here and kind of slip under the radar, right? So I think everyone kind of agrees, right, that they've committed a bunch of crimes in all these other countries. Why can't they be prosecuted if they come here? You know what I mean? They shouldn't just be let go.
Zach, I could not agree more with you. So how in the hell do we have an African-American man in Charlotte, North Carolina, who has been arrested for 14 times, let out on cash bail? No cash bail. The last time he was released from court, he had to sign a piece of paper that said he would personally come back to court.
At least on your own reconnaissance.
Yes.
Yeah.
That decision by that judge
It's crazy.
cost a 23-year-old girl's life. She was sitting there on a train, finishing her shift after working in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've watched the video over and over as much as I can. It's very disturbing in multiple ways and reasons. She's sitting there. I don't recommend any young lady or young person to get on any public transportation with earpods, Beats, or anything. You have to pay attention to your surroundings. She literally was sitting there on the ride on a light rail train in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the guy behind her literally stabbed her in her neck, killed her. And I think the most disturbing part of it was the people around her did nothing. I don't know if it's the Daniel Penny thing from New York. People are scared to involve themselves. But if I were on a train, me personally, and I saw someone get violently attacked, whether it's a knife, whether they're getting brutally hit, I am wired to where I'm personally going to interject. Could I have saved her life? Maybe not. But could I have tried? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to, the culture in the South, right? I mean, a lot of people don't consider Florida the South, but we have this ideology of just like the Bible says, right? Protect thy neighbor. So it's like, if I see you're struggling and I have the capacity to help you any way I can, I'm going to. And I mean, what's sad about that is I've been to Charlotte before. It's a beautiful city. And I don't say that about a lot of cities. I'm not a city person. I like, the country, staying in a cabin. But, I mean, the public transit over there, when I was there, seemed relatively safe. But you always have to be aware, right? You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to keep an eye on yourself, because at the end of the day, something like this happens, and it's like...
So, are you, or am I a racist because I identify a person that I possibly think could be a threat and create a situation? I've said it over and over. Your eyes don't lie. When you look at someone, the way they present themselves, you look at their eyes, and I hate to say it, it's the way you dress. It's the way you look. You get profiled. And I'm not a racist by no means. I have no problem with anybody. But this person looked like he had the ability to do what he did. And I'm assuming that 23-year-old or 24-year-old Ukrainian girl who sat in front of him would have never thought that would have been her last breath.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, like...
The problem, Zach, it happened in August. This didn't happen September the 9th. Didn't happen September the 8th. The media hid it from everyone.
Yeah.
Because it did not fit their narrative. Because it was a black man killing a white woman. But I promise you, if it had been a white man killing a black woman, we would have riots in the street. Why is the media doing what they do? Why?
I mean, we all know this. America media likes to push a narrative, right? I've been to Colombia, I've been to Eastern Europe, right? I've been to, even New York, right? You have to understand and try to assess people who are going to be aggressive, right? When I was in Colombia, I did public transportation, went to a city over there, and I knew that someone's going to try to pickpocket me, someone's going to try to rob me, whatever. I got warned about that, and I'm keeping an eye on everyone. And it could just be, it could be a local, and it could be a tourist. It doesn't matter. But, like, I don't think it has anything to do with race, but just their demeanor. Yeah, like you said, like how they act, how they're looking, how they're dressed, whatever. It definitely does go back to that. Because it's like, why are they staring at me like that? Why do they have, ulterior motive? Do they have?
But the media created to where the media didn't even want to talk about this. So now it's been presented. We've talked about this on the show with criminals and mental illness. Being arrested 14 times and let go back out on the street, and he's been diagnosed with different scenarios to where he was a threat to society. I think the Justice Department failed humanity in Mecklenburg County, in Charlotte, North Carolina, and unfortunately a young lady died. And this young man's going to ultimately probably be sentenced to the death penalty. So how...
But only after the fact, right? Because the police did their job by arresting this individual 14 times, but the judge, no cash bail, failed us all.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this country used to have mental hospitals. Each state used to have its individual mental hospital. I don't know if it was funding. I don't know what it was. But are we doing a disservice to people in the country who have mental illness? We talked about it last week with the transy who killed the people in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
There has to be a way to help people to help our country. I don't have the answer of what that is, but I know the amount of money this country has. I know the amount of the money this country wastes. So there should be an opportunity if you or myself or anyone on the street has a mental illness to have the ability to get help or be put in a position to where you can't hurt people. That sounds cruel, but it's the reality of saving the country.
We also look at the second video, that's more raised up, where all the individuals around her were kind of like shocked and surprised, but didn't really step in. Especially after that individual who stabbed her ran out, you know.
He walked down the train with the knife in his hand, blood dripping,
Yeah.
and no one, as I say, fear no evil, fear no man. That was an opportunity. You couldn't have saved her life, but you could have stopped anything else. Who knows? That guy could have continued the rampage. He could have stabbed other people. And it could have gotten escalated, could have gotten worse. So, in my mind, the judge, the no cash on bail, then no one helping, it's just a perfect storm to where we are as a society and in our country. And I don't know how we change it, Zach, but I know there has to be a way because there's a double standard. Literally, you have people in Chicago right now protesting police and the National Guard from being there, helping the communities who need it the most. Why do you not want to be in a safe environment?
They have time to protest, but not help protest the crimes already there, right?
Exactly. But the people who are protesting, they don't live in that neighborhood. They're not the ones walking down the street. They're not the ones losing their friends, getting shot in the back of their head. People who want to do crazy things, whether it's with a gun, whether it's with a knife, whether it's with an automobile, they will do it. If they have a desire to hurt people, they're going to hurt people. So we have to be aware of our surroundings in the cities where we are to prevent that from happening to yourself or your loved ones. So I don't understand why the Democratic Party is fighting that so hard. It's a losing battle. Everybody wants to wake up in the morning. Everybody wants to go do what they do all day. And they want to go home and be safe when they get there. So if there's a way to do that, this country should feel obligated to protect you as an individual, whether it's your town, your city, or your state, or your country.
Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, if you go back, I think I've talked about this before, whether on this podcast or the Cigar Guys, but, you know, I really think because America is such a melting pot of cultures, right? When you start including all these cultures together, you start to lose them, or you start to lose your values a little bit. And, you know, you get into a situation where, you know, no one cares about anyone but themselves, right? And then you have situations like this happen. You know, if you go to Europe, you go to Asia, you go to whatever, South Africa, you go, or South America, you go to all these places and they have a strict culture that they believe in, you know, whether it's family values or, you know, just values in general, right? When you start coming here, you start seeing the different values and you kind of start to forget about them because you're like, I'm in a free country. You know, I could do whatever the hell I want. Then you start having situations like that, you know, where people just don't care anymore. You know, you have that guy, unfortunately, stab a woman on, you know, transit because they know that they could get away with it, right? They've been let out on bail.
You know where you're not getting stabbed tonight, Zach? That is at the Vineyard. You go in there, you look at the menu, you look at the specials, and I promise you, you will have an outstanding bartender, waiter, waitress bring you one of the most incredible dishes made by Chef Liz, HB, Maddie, Mean Gene. Those people back there, they are the people who care. They are the people who make the front of that restaurant look amazing. So anytime you have the opportunity to go experience the vineyard, you have Robbie, you have Dan as the proprietors, and I promise you, they will take care of you.
That's true. Just don't listen to the customers, and by the customers I mean Crocker and myself, Jared too. But I'm sorry, JB. We're on the wrong podcast.
I love eating there, so
Hey, we could go there for brunch, for dinner, for anything. I mean, it's gonna be a good time. It's always a good time. Food is always fantastic. Crocker shows up and he gets some off the menu items, and I'm like, you gotta have them make that for me because I'm sure as hell not gonna ask him.
But it's a wonderful place, and I highly recommend it. By far, it is the best steak in this area. Probably one of the better steaks I have throughout the Southeast. So if you have an opportunity to go to the vineyard, highly recommend it. Speaking of highly recommending, I don't recommend countries bombing other countries in a peaceful manner. I don't know if you guys saw that Israeli forces struck Qatar today. Qatar is a pretty metropolitan city that is very friendly with the United States of America, doing lots of things, and Israel unilaterally took 9 planes to kill 7 or 8 Hamas individuals.
Whose planes again? Whose planes are those?
They would be United States of America planes that Israel, quote unquote, purchased.
Just wanted to check.
Stings
Yeah,
every
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, but what would have happened if you'd have been in Qatar today hanging out? Because Americans are in Qatar, and the Israeli forces did this unilaterally on themselves. So I think what happened on October 7th, when it happened, was terrible, but I think there has to be a place and time for you to do what you're going to do. I don't think you can attack a solvent country by yourself for no reason other than to kill 9 people. I think they made a huge mistake today. I think it set that whole region back a long time because the Qatari government's probably going to be pissed because the Qatari government has our weapons. They have our Iron Dome. So it was pretty challenging. I think it threw everyone for a big loop today when that took place.
What you're saying, they have the Iron Dome, but they didn't use it?
I don't think they had time. I think it was so... The Israeli forces told the United States that they were doing it so short-lived that the United States could not even get a hold of the Qatari government to tell them that this was happening. That's how quickly the strike took place, and it was over. And you've got buildings in rubble to where Hamas says they didn't kill anybody. Israel says they got the people that they wanted. So who really knows the truth? So it's another day in the Middle East.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of comparable to, what's that movie? Casino. Robert De Niro runs a casino, and was it Joe Pesci?
Joe Pesci.
Yeah, he, he's a mobster back home, and one of his guys goes to the casino, puts his feet up on the table, and Robert De Niro goes up and is like, "What the hell are you doing? Take your feet off." And it's like, okay, well, I think this is a good analogy, right? Because the guy who puts his feet on the table thinks, "Oh, don't worry,
He's connected.
I'm connected.
Yeah.
I can do whatever the hell I want." But you don't realize who the other person is connected to, right? In this case, the United States. They're both connected to the United States, but which one is giving the U.S. more money, and which one is using the U.S.'s money,
That's
right?
pretty simple. Qatar, giving a lot of money. Israel, taking a lot of money. So, but again, the Israel-Jewish state relationship with the United States of America is a very delicate situation to talk about. So, who really knows? But the one thing I'm disappointed in more than anything, JB, is how Donald Trump has allowed the Russia-Ukraine war to continue to happen. Actually, Russia has escalated the war, and Donald Trump has not added any more tariffs. He's not done anything to Russia. He's allowed it to grow bigger. And so what ultimately will the United States do? Or one better, what will Trump do?
I mean, you got something to say?
I think the end outcome will be what we always talked about. I think the part of Ukraine that is they claim to Ukrainian will be let go and brought back into Russia hands eventually anyways, unless we continuously get involved. So it's like a double-edged sword either way you look at it. But, you know, if he gets involved, now we're involved. And then if we give weapons on either side or money on either side, now we're involved even further. And then him saying anything will always keep us involved. So either staying out of it keeps us not involved and allows either side to escalate and end it. But we also have that deal with the minerals, so I don't, you know, it's a little tricky situation. But
Well, as I was coming in tonight, Zach, to the studio, I heard that Russia is talking about looking at Finland. Well, Finland is part of NATO. So, how deep can this actually get?
I mean, yeah, it could get pretty deep, right? Because Russia is the number one source of oil to most European countries. Like, we'll just take Germany, for example, right? Germany was supposed to be energy independent by 2025 or 2030. I think it was 2025, and then 2030 they were supposed to be, you know, like 100% nuclear.
This was the same country that was going to go green, right? And had all this grandiose idea.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that worked out.
But they were no. I mean, it was working out great until people started not liking nuclear facilities. Right? And they're worried about
safe.
Well, I mean that's what they were worried about. They're worried about nuclear not being safe.
Wind turbines kill wells. They kill birds.
They're killing the birds. They're killing the birds.
They look pretty shitty offshore too, just so you know.
Yeah, they
when
do.
When you're up in the Northeast and there's just fields of turbines that are standing still, not blowing, it's like,
what's the point?
You have no energy.
Yeah.
Then the same when you go out to the Midwest and you just drive for miles and none of these windmills
are moving.
Yeah, you're like, so the amount of money that was spent on this, it was the biggest pull your pants down and bend over, we got you.
Yeah.
So.
But the amount of European countries that actually purchase oil from Russia has complete control over them. And, I mean, they know that, right? There's nothing that the U.S. could do to stop them because these countries yielded to protests and, you know, any other thing.
Who was protesting? Oh, the same idiots that protest here?
The cousins, I think. I think it's a cousin.
Related somehow.
But, I mean, you know, I'm an aerospace engineer. I'm not a nuclear engineer. But I respect...
All right, real quick. Did we go to the fucking moon?
Did we go to the moon? Yeah, I do. I do believe we went to the moon.
Tell me how in the hell we went 289,000 miles from here in a shoebox. They got back in the shoebox and came back 289,000 miles in 2 weeks. When it took a machine that left in January and just landed last week. So you're telling me a box of aluminum foil is capable of doing that? Because I want to get in that box of aluminum foil. Hell, I want to try it myself.
Well, we could get into this. That's fine. Yeah, you got to think about it from a point of safety, right? Nowadays, you know...
You realize how hot it gets?
How hot?
Yes, there's very few things that can survive fires, and all of a sudden, back in the 60s and 70s, we got shit that can go 300,000 miles in space. Come on, man, you're a smart guy.
I'm telling. I mean, the math checks out.
What math?
Orbital mechanics. It checks out. We're able to do the calculations.
Have you seen what they flew up there in?
I have. I've been. Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I have.
What about the car they drove around in up there, kicking up rooster tails?
What about it?
Where did that car fit in that little bastard?
It folded up. Have you seen that? Have you seen the car? Have you seen the car? That's my question. Have you seen the car?
I've seen pictures of it.
Have you seen it in person? That's my
No, I
question.
have not.
Okay, I've seen it in person. They have literally a model of it at the Kennedy Space Center out in Cape Canaveral. Beautiful place. Recommend go check it out. But it's literally basically plywood with wheels.
So we left the car there. We left the car there, right?
Okay.
I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were the tires made of?
The tires are made of chains, I believe. They're made of like steel chains that were bent to withstand the cushion. So they didn't have to put a suspension on it to save weight.
So my question is, I don't know if we did. I don't know if we didn't, because by no means am I an aerospace engineer, wanna be or gonna be or ever be.
I am, but
I'm giving you all the hoorahs. So I just think that if it were and did happen, that there would be so much more to be able to see. How do you lose all of that fucking technology?
the technology is still there. The difference is there's no safety behind the technology. They were trying to launch people over there.
Hell,
I mean, think about it. You growing up, right? Me growing up. How many times have we done stupid shit and it's like, I'm surprised that worked. And then we're like, I'd never do that again. I wouldn't let my kids do that.
It didn't work once. It worked twice. Landed and took off. What? Okay, I don't know this answer. What powered that machine?
What powered it?
Yeah. What got it to the moon, 289,000 miles from here, and then what it got it back 289,000 miles from here.
Multiple stages of rocket fuel. So
How much rocket fuel was available to get it back? Do you know how much fuel a 757 takes to go from here to California?
you didn't need it, though. You didn't need it coming back. You just needed it going there. Because, all right, we're going to go into Newton's laws, right? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
I love that saying.
Right? Great. If we're in space, in a quote-unquote vacuum, right? Because it's not a true vacuum, as people say, but it's close enough.
I've never been with anybody as smart as this kid.
So let's just say I'm in space and, I go to, and Jared's with me, and I go to push Jared, right? If I push him, we're both standing still. If I go to push him, we're both equally going to move his weight, like, as far as we can. Doesn't matter how big he is, doesn't matter how small I am, whatever, that's just how it works. So when you're on the moon has significantly less gravity, right? So it's much easier to take off. There's no atmosphere that we have to go through. So you need much less propulsion. The only propulsion you need is to kick you off the moon and then do mini micro adjustments in space to go
Have you ever
into
been out on
orbit.
an offshore boat fishing?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have, yeah.
All right. From the 70s to 80s to 90s to where we are today with GPS technology, you can put coordinates in. How in the hell did those bastards up in the moon? Hey, there's a blue dot there, baby. That's where we gotta go. Let's go.
They had it. Well, I mean, the astronauts didn't control the rocket. It was all predetermined, right? All the math was uploaded initially
Into what?
into the rocket, into the
A Casio calculator?
It's not a calculator, but yeah. It had the same computing power. But that's ridiculous to say because, you could argue, be like, okay, yeah, the rocket had the same computing power as a calculator, right? As a modern day, whatever, regular calculator.
What was it?
However,
Texas Instruments. That's a
yeah,
TI.
they're great calculators.
Oh hell, I can't even operate the bastard.
But if you think back at it, if you just look at, an old cell phone or and even an old computer, the amount of we'll just take RAM, right? RAM is the memory it takes to actually show everything on the screen, right? If you take the amount of RAM, back in the day, you needed, 5 megabytes of RAM, 50 megabytes of RAM. Nowadays, with how much detail that we have, we need 16 gigabytes, which is, 100 times more?
I remember the first time I was introduced to an Apple computer. It had green little small lines across it. I had a big floppy disk that I had to put in that motherfucker. So, but now that I know I got a damn engineer that can talk intelligently about this, we will do a show about landing on the moon. I am excited about this, JB. We will bring you in as a guest, and we will all find out if we actually landed in the moon.
I will personally go through the math with you. And why does it keep happening to me? But I will personally go through the math with you and show you how we did. It was totally possible. Now, it was a miracle of God that they survived.
But
I will say that.
We didn't do it just once. We did it how many times?
It doesn't matter.
But you can have a miracle as a Hail Mary in football, but you don't make that play over and over. And what do we do it 7 times? I don't recall how many times we actually.
I don't know. I don't think it was 7 times. That seems a little high. I think it was at least 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Didn't the Patriots recover from the Falcons pretty heavily?
The
right?
Patriots won 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bet on the Patriots more than I bet on we went to the moon. But I love it, Zach. We're going to have a special show on that one night. Speaking of math, right now the students in this country, less than 20% of them can pass the grade that they're in math, English, and science. And somehow the teachers continue to push them through. You've got high school seniors right now who cannot pass their grades, but the system allows them to go through.
Do we still have the FCATs?
Yeah, it's called something else now. It was the FCAT, then it was the FSA, and now it's called something else.
I can guarantee these are huge blue cities in blue states. I don't know if it's 20%. Everyone can't do math.
It's the statistics. It's the 20% of the people. When you average, you got to take Mississippi. You got to take all of these places that accumulate into one number.
Sorry, the FCATs are for Florida only, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have a federal standard for that.
Like you had in North Carolina, you had the CAT system, which was the same system.
Okay.
But
Yeah, they're all the same, just different states call them a little bit different.
so I asked several teachers about this, and the answer I got was parents are more worried about their children's feelings going to school than being educated and properly taught. I don't know if the days of discipline, or lack of discipline,
You know the answer.
has gotten us to this point.
Yeah.
But when a teacher has to deal with a parent worrying about, I don't really like the way you talk to my child in front of all the other students. You hurt his or her feelings. And you're having to deal with that. If I were a teacher, I'd be like, man, we're good. Your son or daughter can just come here and... Have you guys seen Woodchuck, Mr. Woodchuck, the PE teacher? That's where we need to go back to.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a movie. And the guy, the PE teacher, he has all the kids in front of him, and he asks a couple questions. He takes a dodgeball, throws it at one of them. The kid doesn't catch it. Run a lap. Another kid over there with asthma. I hear you. Go run a lap. The sensitivity and the strength of the children is the problem with where we are. Why this country is so weak. Why this country is so dumb. When you allow all of these children to continue to just go forward, these people who knowledge brings strength. If you are smart, you're stronger. And I hate to say this or profile.
Yeah.
The guy who killed the woman in Charlotte did not have the opportunity to be smart.
Yeah, but it doesn't give you the right to go kill somebody.
I hear you. So how do we prevent it? We start when the children are
You
young.
got the belt, the paddle, the hand at home. That's what I had.
Yeah.
I think it starts at the home. But I also want to say that I think education should be separated from common sense, from your mom and dad telling you what to do out of respect versus they having a college degree or that individual on the train having a degree or something like that.
I think there's a big difference too, as far as education-wise. Parents no longer teach at the home, right? They trust their teachers to teach them everything.
Offload it, yeah.
You know, whether it's common sense, respect, mathematics, physics, whatever, science, doesn't matter. They rely on someone else to do it because they're too, tired, or they're too busy with work, or it doesn't matter. So they're relying on other people to do it. So when you do that, it's like, okay, if I, as a child, right, I can't respect my parents because they've never told me what to do. And they never, like you said, discipline, right? They never disciplined me to follow, the right code of conduct. They're just relying on the teachers. And then you have all these teachers doing, parent-teacher conferences, and then nothing ever happens from it. But I don't got kids, but, that's just my...
I think Zach's right. If there's no standard set at home, you can't respect your own parents. Why would you respect someone who isn't related to you? You won't respect adults in general.
You're not going to.
Exactly.
Because you've been given the feeling that you are above and beyond what's actually happening, Zach.
Yeah.
So if a child goes to school, which most children spend more time at school than they do at home. So whatever teacher, this is why I've said this over and over, the quality of teachers in this country has gone to shit. I would say over 50% of them are libtards. They've gone to a liberal arts school and they're trying to teach in a way that does not allow America to be successful. When you have teachers of kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth grade who don't want their children to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, it's a problem. That is a huge problem. Then you've got those same teachers, well, Johnny, man, maybe you should be Jenny. They should not have that authority to be able to talk to your child about. And then on top of that, the school does not even have to allow you to know that the counselor and the teacher is talking to Johnny about turning into Jenny. This is a problem, and it has to be eliminated. And unfortunately, we don't have strong people that can stand up and go to the school board meetings and dictate, this is what we want our children to be taught. So that's a problem, and the problem is only going to get escalated and be greater. We're fixing to have an election in 2 months in New York City, the biggest city in the country, the most activity going on. Do you realize that city has 8,500,000 people in it? 8,500,000 people that are moving around every day. That city has 5,000 buses that are running every day. Mamdani, Zach wants to make it free for anybody and everybody to go get on a bus. So that's 5,000 buses that will be packed with people who did not pay. The average bus fare in New York City is $2.90 one way. You can pay $7 if you want the speed route. That's available. So you're looking at 1 million, $3,190,000 a day that New York City is going to lose, because on average, that's 1,100,000 people who use the buses in New York City. So how can the city of New York lose $3,190,000 a day and keep functioning? But it's real numbers. So when you take that number and you calculate that through the year, you're looking at a $1,164,000 gift. Everybody can ride the bus for free. What's going to happen to the people who need to get on that bus to go to their job? Those buses will turn into houses because people will get on them and ride all day because they run 24/7.
Yeah.
So the minute you start talking about giving something away, it sounds really great. There's been states, cities in this country who have done this with grocery stores, with buses. Every one of these has failed. Mamdani is a 33-year-old child. He cannot get elected as mayor of New York City. He will unilaterally destroy the city by the decisions he will be making, which will represent all of the people. You might as well give him the number one realtor reward for the state of Florida, because New York City will be leaving in U-Haul buses headed to Florida. You can take 8,500,000 people in November. The following year, it'll be 7,500,000, maybe more. I don't know. People will not stay to tolerate that lifestyle. Then you go to grocery stores. Zach, we're going to have free groceries in every borough. We're going to have free groceries. All right? Let's go through. You were talking about something earlier that I really kind of got on this. The melting pot. You've got Italians. You got Latin Americans.
Albanians.
You got people from all across the world. So what is the grocery store going to be stocked with? What's it going to be stocked with? Is it going to be stocked with basic necessities, toilet paper, dish cleaning, soap, or is it going to have food? Is it going to have canned goods? What's going to be in there? Then, with what's in there, you go in there, I go in there. Is there going to be a limit on what we can take? Are they going to have shoplifting in this store? Are they going to utilize the technology that is in place in a lot of places now, to where you go in, you grab a can, you grab this, it recognizes your face or whatever, it tracks what you took? Or is this going to be just a free-for-all? Kansas City lost over $260 million with this process. Kansas City is a pimple on New York City's ass. Mamdani will be the end of New York City. He's a 33-year-old that could possibly get elected, and he's no smarter than a 12-year-old.
Is he no smarter, or is the agenda he wants to actually run to kill New York City?
He wants to run to bring the socialized ideas, which ultimately turns into communist ideas.
Yeah, which is the whole Democratic Party today.
That's exactly why he cannot win. Everyone, whether you're in Florida, whether you're in North Carolina, whether you're in Wisconsin, you have to communicate that Mamdani will be the end of New York City. And when New York City ends, you will see other places across this country do the same thing.
I mean, if the votes are real, regardless, he does have the Democratic vote, sadly, but who else votes for these people? Two, like I said before, they'll probably try and run him for the next presidential election if he does win, because Democrats like young and dumb puppets.
Again, how are they going to eat? All right. There's a chain, a process of how grocery stores work. Right here where we live, Publix is the #1 grocery store. They have distribution centers
God bless.
that send the groceries to the grocery stores.
Yeah.
The distribution centers have food to send because there's money changing hands. When you take $1 billion away from the buses and you just say, we're going to do this, we're not raising the rent, where does the money come from to fill the grocery stores? How quickly will the grocery stores be restocked? How will people be able to eat when there's no foods in the grocery store? I can promise you, if you had a free grocery store right now, right up the road here, by the end of the night, no different than when there's a hurricane here, Zach.
Yeah.
It's gone. And everybody paid for it. So imagine if you said free. You're not getting how many people? 8,500,000 into a grocery store that's giving free food away. Let's just say half the people use it. Half the people utilize the free grocery store. It's not able to suffice. Will not work. So people have to realize MTC. Mamdani, the commie, cannot win. We got anybody that can give me the answer on all the people who are here? How would we build? Anybody answer?
No, we didn't have anyone in the chat yet.
Huh? All 7 people listen tonight, then. That's good.
But
I can tell you how it has to work, Zach.
let's hear it.
You said something very intelligent earlier about your family immigrating to this country. They blended in. They got here. They wanted to participate and be active, working, and being American citizens. I think there's a lot of Latin Americans here who have been here, got here, crossing the border, which they didn't do it properly, but they have added value since they've been here. And I tell JB, I tell Gonzo all the time, there has to be a way to implement them to get them in line without deporting them. Because if you deported everyone here illegally, there is no one here to work.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people that have come here illegally, and one thing I've noticed that a lot of them that end up doing well have in common is, believe it or not, is they pay their taxes, right? In the United States,
Can you believe that people who are here illegally pay taxes? Is
I
that
mean,
not crazy?
no, listen, if there's one thing America loves, it's their money. And at the end of the day, you have people that are here illegally that want a citizenship or want a chance of a citizenship, and they work hard. They decide to file their taxes, because you are able to do that in the United States. They file their taxes and there's a section, where you could disclose income that's not illegal, but not legal, right? It's a middle ground. You just have to disclose that income. And they file their taxes. And then, you know what? I've seen multiple times where those individuals will end up gaining their citizenship, get married here, have a family, and, live a long and happy life. So there is a system in place, but it is a long process, right? I mean, there needs to be a better system. if you have a guy that's been working here for 10 years who's still illegal, it's like, okay, he has a track record of working here. He's supplying, whether, it doesn't matter what job it is, whether it's in the restaurant industry, a farmer, the hotel industry, hospitality, it doesn't matter. There does need to be a way for them to become a citizen more easily. Whether it's becoming educated, right, going to college, even if just getting an AA, whether it's, paying your taxes, working, it doesn't matter,
Well, most states have multiple stadiums, whether it's college, professional areas that could be set up as a registration facility that would allow people who are here illegally, based off of what you just said, Zach, who have made a decision that they want to be an American citizen. So they've got to make a commitment that they are going to trust the United States government to go to this facility, to register, and say, I am here illegally, but I love this country. I want to stay here. I have to find a way to streamline me becoming an American citizen. I understand I've been here illegally. I am willing to pay a fine. I am willing to pay a statute of whatever it may be to help expedite this. I will go through whatever process I need to go through to become a United States citizen. I truly believe that you would see these arenas filled up with thousands of people. And if 50,000 people went to every arena in every state, you would instantaneously get 2.5 million people who have admitted that they're here illegally, that have admitted that they want to become a United States citizen. They understand that that does not happen today. It's a process, but you start the process that you just said. You have the ability to track them. And they have to understand, if they commit one crime, DUI, they commit 2 crimes, your opportunity is null and void. If you get pulled over for drinking and driving, you're not an American citizen. You don't have the right that everyone else has. We are giving you a privilege and an opportunity to have the ability to stay here, where you can go to bed at night and wake up in the morning without having to be deported if you abide by these laws and these rules. There has to be something similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, I know we have stuff in place right now where it's like that, right? If you're here on
if you're an illegal immigrant right now and you get pulled over, your ass is getting deported.
You're gone. Yeah. But like, let's just say you're here on a student visa or a work visa, right?
Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Which most Latin Americans in this country are not here on a work visa or a student visa.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, I'm just using that as an example, right? If you're here on like a visa like that, it's like a similar instance. If you get pulled over for speeding, they're worried that they're going to get deported because they could use that against you, right? So I think there does need to be a cutoff on the severity of the crime, right? DUI is a felony, right? Or no, it's a misdemeanor, right? What is it? I don't even know what
It's
it is.
misdemeanor.
Okay, it's a misdemeanor. But but there needs to be a level of severity included in a crime. Because if you get pulled over for speeding, everyone speeds, right? Is what it is. You forget. You don't look at your speedometer. I don't think you should be deported for that, right? But a DUI, you're putting American lives at risk when, you're driving drunk.
Well, the thing about it is, if we do this, we're going to give everybody the opportunity to actually get a real driver's license, which may be a partial driver's license based off of this criteria that we're talking about right now. Yeah. But there has to be a way to do this without just a big paintbrush that says, this is what we're going to do. I think Kristi Noem, I think all these people, all these ads are great, but no one's running to them, hey, give me my $1,000, I want to be deported. But I promise you, if you say, this is what we're willing to do to give you an opportunity to stay in this country, we'll do it. So, as the show's winding down, JB, what do you want to get off your ship tonight?
If this individual is actually arrested 14 times with no cash bail, we really have to investigate these judges who are doing this. There should be no non-cash bails. That's ridiculous. Especially after you're arrested that many times, you have to revoke the bond and keep them in jail to have them go to arraignment, to actually go to the actual individual court session to see what's going on. It's ridiculous. I think we need to get this judge off our ship for sure, and any judge that does this.
Do you know what?
And why this happened in North Carolina too? It's like,
Do you know what party that judge was with?
Easy guess,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Zach, what do you want to get off on your ship since you've been away from us for a little bit?
I don't know. It's a good question. I didn't think about this question.
Tough.
I'm not used to this, but honestly, I feel like I said this last time, to be honest with you, but the media, right?
You did say that last time.
I think I did, yeah. But in this case, a different reason, right? A lot of people have their ideas on why the media didn't portray this, right? Whether it's racial, whether, it's religious, or it doesn't matter. I think it kind of comes down to, she was Ukrainian, right? And why the media has been portraying, Ukraine as this war-torn country that we need to support left and right. And here we have a Ukrainian refugee that we allowed in this country to feel safe.
Yeah.
Get killed by an American citizen. That would look terrible in the media. And that's just my personal belief on why they didn't show it, right? Why they didn't explode this story, and it had to reach a presidential level just for it to get any sort of attention. Like you said, this happened in August? That's insane for it to just now be coming out. So yeah, I think the media needs to walk the plank. I think that's disrespectful to not only her but her family. I think that's very sad that her family entrusted the United States to keep her safe as a refugee, as a Ukrainian refugee, into the United States, and they couldn't do it.
Did you know they actually buried her here in America? They didn't want to send her back?
As in, like, the country didn't want to send her back,
No,
or like
her family wanted to bury her here in America because they wanted to celebrate her freedom. What I want to get off my ship is all of the college football players and all of the NFL football players who do not have enough wherewithal to understand that sportsmanship matters in the game that you're playing. And you're playing a game in front of millions of kids and people who see you bigger than life. So when you decide to spit on another football player's face, uniform, or whatever it may be, you should get off the ship because you're not a good teammate, you're not a good leader. You need to go back to first base and start again because you don't understand how lucky you are to be doing what you're doing, but to lead and do that, you cost every one of your teammates. In both instances, Florida Gators lost because of that. Player gets ejected for the Philadelphia Eagles, gonna get fined and suspended. So common sense, it goes back to just believing and knowing where you are as a person. Zach, thank you for hosting tonight. I appreciate it. JB, as always.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you for allowing me to come on this show again. Always have a great time on here. And on that note, thank you guys for tuning in to today's show. See you on the next one.
In a world full of noise and spin and shadows, one voice cuts through the lies like a blade through smoke.
Fear no man, fear no evil.
Because the truth is the only thing that matters.
Dance with the devil, walk with the angels, and the truth shall set you free. This ain't for the faint of heart. This ain't for the easily offended. This is where real talk lives. Because if it ain't black, it's white.
Welcome to the one, the only, the Robb Crocker Show.